Good morning, everyone. I hope this finds you well and living your best life in Jesus Christ. Well, as I said in yesterday's devotional, for the next couple of sessions, I will be examining some of the spiritual lessons 2020 has taught me that I think it's important to carry forward into this new year. I'm asking myself questions like what positive, significant truths can be learned from this very eventful year? What things do we need to remember to make us better Christians and, frankly, better people in general? What attitudes and behaviors do we need to change and discard as we approach 2021? I think one of the most important things that I need to carry forward is the realization that we don't have the ability to control our world as we once thought we did. If there's one thing I've learned in 2020, and I think we all have, is that we aren't really driving the bus. And that things can and do often change literally in a heartbeat. This COVID-19 intrusion has certainly left us realizing that we are in much less control of our world than we might have thought we were. I mean, and let's be honest, this COVID stuff, that's knocked us around a bit. It's caused enormous dents in our presumption that we are autonomous and sophisticated as a community and as individuals, that we're confident to handle whatever comes. I think we've learned better. Instead, it has, at least for me, raised fundamental questions about who's really in control over our nation, over our community, and ultimately over each of our individual lives. Are our lives really autonomous, or is it true that we are answerable to God, who is wielding history according to his own awesome plans, moving it inevitably to a truly magnificent endpoint? Well, I think you can figure out which one of those I believe. And if so, isn't it very wise to place our lives under his control and share what he's prepared? For the Christian, this reminder is timely and powerful. If we genuinely trust Jesus for our life and salvation, that trust will show itself in a life brought under his authority and acknowledging that he's in control. And the flip side of this lesson is the evident fact, and as far as I'm concerned, it's self-evident, that God does have the ability to bring good things out of the heart of what we would consider to be a calamity. I mean, during the year and in studies and so forth, we have examined Romans 28 many times. In it, Paul says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. We love that scripture. But let's go back a couple of previous verses. When we do, it becomes quite evident that the Spirit assists us in our weakness, even when we're so confused we don't really know what to ask for. Here's what it says. In the same way, the Spirit helps us in our weakness. We do not know what we ought to pray for, but the Spirit himself intercedes for us through wordless groans. And he who searches our hearts knows this mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for God's people in accordance with the will of God. Well, I do know this, that in my life I have watched God build character and purpose out of Nancy and my lives through adversity. I mean, I think of that as a given. Out of this adversity, we've grown a new strength and resilience that we simply would not have possessed if we haven't had to go through these pretty bad things. I find no other way to explain it except that it comes down to, in our case, and I think in a lot of cases, the literal touch of the Master's hand. As I mentioned yesterday, the separation we have experienced just may be Jesus' way of helping us to appreciate in a fresh way the value of being in a close church community, to not take things for granted as we have tended to do in the past, let's be honest. With the variety of lockdowns and social distancing we've experienced, we've felt the loss of face-to-face contact. And out of that separation, Jesus is helping us to appreciate in a fresh way the value of being in a close community with one another, of friendship, of looking out for each other, and of mutually building each other up in faith the way we're supposed to. In our limitations, God has supplied alternative ways of meeting. I'm thankful for that. That don't involve us being physically present with one another. But now as we approach 2021, we can see the day is coming when hugs will be back on the church agenda again. I can hardly wait. Can't you? Actually, when you think about it, we need not be all that surprised that God is using this wonderful capacity for bringing good things out of bad. I mean, after all, look at Jesus in the face of injustice, death, and seeming defeat of Jesus at the cross. God actually drew the greatest victory of all. He defeated death. And even more important, I think, he reconciled us with him. He reconciled with all of mankind. So, as we move into 2021, let's remind ourselves of two very important things. The first is that as much as we think we have everything under control, we aren't really driving the bus. And two, that the God who is driving that bus is firmly in control, and he will prosper us no matter what potholes we may meet along the way. I mean, think about it. What more could we ask? I hope you make today a terrific day. I want you to know that I'm here if you need me, and I love you all.